Welcome back. This is our next installment in our journey to create the poster. This lesson we're going to be exploring type. We're going to learn how to do the horizontal type. We're going to learn how to do the vertical type. So we're going to start off by selecting our text tool. I'm going to put it in place and I want to put in Bulldog Pride. So I will type that in, B-U-L-L-D-O-G space Pride. Now I want one above the other, so let's do that. And I want it center justified. So I'm going to highlight it, go up to the top, and I'm going to hit center justify. And now I can take that type and I can start to move it in place. It's obviously not the size I want or the font that I want. So if we want to change sizes, we go up to here. I believe the size that I'm going to be using for this project is a 90. You notice the numbers here only go up to 72. So I'm going to type in 90 like that. So I get the size I want. And again, now I can put that in place. The type font that we're using here, if you notice, the type font we're using is called Myriad Pro. It's not what I want, but I'm going to show you how to scroll through your type fonts. You'll notice we have lots and lots of different type fonts on this page. If you want to scroll through them, you're welcome to do that. And you know, in the old days we would go one font at a time like that, and it was rather exhausting. Here's the good news. If you tap in the middle of the name and use your arrow keys, you can kind of scroll through the type. Now I know what I'm looking for. It's called impact. So this is alphabetical, so I'm going to go backwards till I get to my impact, and there it is. That's the type I want. That's the size I want. So I can get off the type now. And you'll notice I have it in place. But it doesn't resemble the type I have here. Well, you would say, why is that? Well, let's look at one. This type doesn't have a color. It has a pattern on it. You'll notice on the file that I've given you, there is this file here, this pattern. This represents technology and speed, right? The future. So I figured that's you guys, the future and technology. So we have that here in the background, and we're going to make that become part of the type. So the layer that has Bulldog Pride, we're going to place this over it like this. So now we're covering the type. And then on the here in the layers, I'm going to right click and I'm going to click Create Clipping Mask. What that's going to do is the layer that's under it and what's isolated will appear like that. So now we see it and the image comes through. Now you notice they're still different. Well, what's some of the differences? One, there's an outline and a drop shadow. So I'm going to double, not on that layer, my bad. Here in the type layer, I'm going to click and I'm going to hit inner shadow. And I can move this around in the space, decide how I want it, the direction of it. And then the other thing that I did is I also put a stroke on it on the outside. Now on the inner shadow, the stroke is fine that size. I could change the color if I want. I think I'm going to use something like a navy blue. And we'll go with that. And then in terms of the inner shadow, I can take and I can just move that, make it a little bit wider. Let's see, a little bigger. There we go, bigger in size. That's what I want. And bring it in. Let's see the distance, about here, but greater in size. I can change the opacity here, and then once I'm happy, I can hit OK. So that gives us our horizontal type. And by the way, using the Move tool, while I'm on that layer, I can move this around and place it any way that I'm comfortable with it. So if you have a particular view that you like, you can put it in place. I kind of like a look like that. I don't have too many buttons in the way. It's kind of neat. Maybe a little bit over, not much. So that's pretty cool. Now, once we've done that, let's go on to the vertical type. So now, vertical type here is this tool. So I'm going to click on the vertical type and I'm going to begin typing. And we're going to put the year in, 2015. And I'm going to take that, I'm going to put it in place. And it goes to the last font that you had selected. And now what I want to do here is I want to take this type and I want to change the size. So I'm going to select it like I did before. And for the year, I'm going to use Bank Gothic and I'm going to use the size 72. So I'm going to go to 72 and I'm going to look for Bank Gothic. You know you can scroll through them, but I know exactly what I want. And I'm going to leave that in place. Now, you'll notice my image here still looks different. Why? Well, I have a gradient going across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit double click on it and go to Layer Styles. I'm going to go to Gradient Overlay. I'm going to click on the Gradient Overlay, and I want to do a green and a yellow. So let's see. If I click this one and I change this color to a green, and I hit OK, and I hit this one to a green. All right. So now I've got like two colors, and I can kind of push this that way, and oops. Bring this way, pull this down, and pull it this way, and I get this kind of cool gradient. The other thing that I need to do is add a drop shadow, which is what I did. Drop shadow. I can make that a little bit bigger if I want. It's really up to what your preference is. I could even change the color. So let's say I wanted to go with one of the orange tones here, so it matches better. You might consider that. So that completes this short little part of the video. The last part, we're going to be doing type that's been altered and transformed following different paths.